Luxury is in trouble. Sales sliding, 50 million customers, poof, gone. Even influencers can't get them out of this one. The Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Business of Fashion, everybody's suddenly writing the obituary. And they'll give you all the usual suspects. Prices, China, greed, all true. But none of it is the real reason. That's the smoke. And everybody's so busy choking on it, nobody's turning around to look for the fire. So I'm going to show you exactly where it started. One collaboration, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So what actually happened? How does an industry this rich, this powerful, suddenly lose its grip on people who used to hand over money like it was nothing? It wasn't that we all went broke on the same Tuesday. It's that we started to see something. The height that doesn't hit anymore. The limited drops that never run out. The nostalgia they keep reheating and serving like it's fresh. All of it runs on one trick luxury taught itself a long time ago. And I'm going to take you back to the exact moment they invented it. One collaboration where you can watch them do it in real time. They didn't even try to hide it. They were just playing in our face. And once you see how, you can't unsee it. Welcome to Vanity Table Talk, where luxury, beauty, and style come to the table. We sip, spill, and dissect what's really going on in the luxury world. I'm so glad you're here. Pull up a chair because today's pour is a good one. Louis Vuitton brought Murakami back in 2026, and people are calling it a revival. If you don't know the truth, you'll feel the pull, the color, the nostalgia, the sense that maybe this is finally your chance to grab a piece of something iconic. That pull is real. What people don't realize is that it's not a coincidence. That feeling was engineered more than 20 years ago, and it's still running on you today. The Louis Vuitton collaboration that changed luxury forever was not just a fashion moment. It was a power move that rewired the relationship between art, branding, and desire. But at the time, it was downright disrespectful to the old rules of luxury. We all know Louis Vuitton, the heritage house built on travel trunks, craftsmanship, and status. But here's the problem Louis Vuitton had, the kind no heritage house ever admits out loud. By the early 2000s, that monogram was everywhere. And anything that's everywhere starts to feel a little tired, predictable, common. The most recognizable status symbol on the planet was quietly turning into wallpaper. So they had a very expensive question on their hands. How do you make an icon thrilling again, without cheapening the very thing that made it worth a fortune? Now, every good strategy has a mastermind, and the credit goes to the man who solved Louis Vuitton's problem while changing luxury forever, Marc Jacobs. He's the one who understood the thing the old guard was too proud to admit, that Louis Vuitton couldn't just sell bags anymore. It had to sell relevance. You can't stitch relevance together in a workshop. So he went looking for another way to manufacture it. In 2002, he picked up the phone and invited Takashi Murakami in, a contemporary artist known for bright, playful, sometimes unsettling little worlds. That choice was surgical. Murakami had already built an entire visual language, super flat, that smashed fine art, anime, and cartoonish consumer culture into one shiny package. Louis Vuitton wasn't just borrowing his look. It was borrowing his whole worldview, the one where high art and low pop culture collapse into each other, and somehow you can still charge a premium. For a stiff old luxury house? That was practically scandalous. So by the spring/summer 2003 runway, the first pieces hit, and they did not whisper. They kicked the door in. Now, the cute version of this story says the collaboration worked because it was colorful and fun. That's the decoy. The real move was far more calculated. They took that sacred brown and gold monogram, the one customers treat like a family crest, and splashed it across 33 candy colors. That move probably should have gotten somebody fired, but instead, it made history. Why? Because Murakami didn't replace the monogram, he changed its whole message. Same logo. It used to announce your bank account, now it announced your personal style. Same bag, completely different flex. He made the untouchable suddenly feel playful, alive, collectible. And because the original code was still sitting right there underneath, it read as rebellious instead of illegitimate. And it didn't just make the bags more colorful. It taught an industry how to package up your emotions and sell them right back to you. Because what looked like a fun little pop art partnership was just the cover story. Underneath, it was a blueprint, and a cold-blooded one. A way to turn a plain canvas bag into a collectible, a character, a conversation, a flex, a whole fantasy you'd happily line up and overpay to buy into. And here's the audacity of it all. They didn't just sell you a handbag. They sold you a feeling and had you thanking them for the privilege. They broke the rules and kept the receipts. That was a very rare trick at the time, and brands have been copying and pasting it ever since. But let's not pretend this was some tasteful little museum exercise. It was a collision. Two worlds that genuinely didn't belong in the same sentence. Luxury exists to protect the hierarchy. Art loves to burn it down. To half the room, this was thrilling. To the other half, it looked like contamination, like someone tracking mud across the marble. And that tension was the entire point. Because the second those bags hit, they stopped behaving like luxury and started behaving like trophies. Everybody wanted one. They were in the magazines, the music videos, on every famous arm in the building. And that's when the whole meaning of luxury started cracking open. Was this still elite craftsmanship? Or had Louis Vuitton just turned itself into entertainment? Was this art being elevated? Or art being put to work behind the register? Nobody could quite answer it. They were too busy buying. And then, because why stop when it's working, it multiplied. Cherry blossom, panda, cereses, drop after drop after drop, until the collaboration wasn't a moment anymore. It was a universe. And here's the part that should make you a little uncomfortable. That constant flow trained an entire generation of shoppers to expect the next chapter, to crave it. Luxury stopped being something you inherit and quietly became something you chase. Because once a house learns it can manufacture frenzy on command, it can never go back. The audience was hooked. They needed the hit, the novelty, the story, the next one. The collaboration didn't just create demand, it cranked the emotional thermostat of the entire brand up to a temperature it has been running at ever since. And let's be real for a second, because this part matters. That little flutter you get when a new drop lands, and then the quiet shame after, like you fell for something, let it go. You didn't get greedy, you got handled by a building full of people whose entire salary job is figuring out how to separate you from your money. That's not weakness on your part, that's a whole industry aimed at you. There's a difference between being foolish and being a target. And trust me, you were the target. The fallout? Enormous. And it did not stop at Louis Vuitton. This rewrote the rules for the entire industry. It made it perfectly normal for a single object to be a handbag, an art piece, and a pop culture trophy all at once. Sounds obvious now. Back then, it was borderline heresy. But the most lasting damage was done to us, the consumers. Because buyers stopped purchasing for the boring old reasons. You know, quality, function, craftsmanship. They started buying participation, a seat at the cultural table. One Murakami bag could broadcast taste, trend awareness, art literacy, and access all in a single swipe. That is a lot of identity to hang on a piece of coated canvas. And believe me, they knew it. It practically defined 2000s fashion, the logo mania, the celebrity styling, the whole it bag economy, where a handbag stopped being an accessory and became your entire personality. And the fact that 2 decades later, they can dust it off, reissue it, and watch people lose their minds all over again? Louis Vuitton was never just selling handbags. It was quietly building an empire, one that could float between art, fashion, celebrity, collecting, and pure nostalgia, while never once loosening its grip on your wallet or your imagination. That is empire behavior, not trend behavior. And empires do not give back territory. Here's the twist that'll mess with your head a little. Everyone calls Murakami art entering luxury. Cute. But flip it around and it's just as true. This was luxury sneaking into the logic of art. Editions, drops, collectability, spectacle, repeatable motifs, stan culture. Sound familiar? This was never a pilot. It was a full systems upgrade, and you have been living inside the new system ever since. But here's the crack in the whole operation, and you're holding it right now. The machine only runs in the dark. The second you can see the move, the spell breaks. They can sell you almost anything except a lie once you know the truth. And now you do. So here's what happens when a machine runs in the dark for 20 years and somebody finally flips the lights on. Look at what the spell is costing now. Prices on the iconic bags are up 50 to 70% since 2019. And at the same time, the innovation dried up, with brands launching 70 to 80% fewer hero bags than they used to. So you're paying more for less new more often. Make it make sense. And the quality? A creator with 13 million followers dropped $18,000 on Miu Miu, and a gold button fell off during the unboxing. So he exchanged it. The replacement broke the exact same way, on camera, for everyone to see. And the reaction online wasn't outrage anymore. It was exhaustion. Threads full of people who used to be loyal customers saying the quiet part out loud. I feel duped. I feel stupid for spending that much. That's not a brand having a bad week. That's the spell breaking in real time. The biggest luxury slowdown since the financial crisis. Customers walking, and the machine still running the same blueprint, still convinced the spell holds. It doesn't, because you can sell people almost anything, except a lie, once they can see it. So what did this collaboration actually reveal? The real definition of luxury power. And it's nothing like what they put in the ad campaigns. Not the craftsmanship, not the heritage, not even the price. Luxury power is the ability to take an ordinary object, and pump it so full of culture, memory, emotion, and status that it starts to feel bigger than the thing itself. Which brings us back to 2026. Because this revival everyone's talking about, it's not a new chapter. It's the same blueprint run again. The same machine you just watched them build switched back on. And the pull you felt at the start of this, you now know exactly where it came from and what it's for. Because the moment you can see the machine, it starts to lose its grip on you. I told you, it's worse than you think. The truth is, the creativity people keep reaching for at the counter was never locked inside a logo. It can be made. That's a longer conversation, and the one this channel is built to have. So subscribe and click that notification bell to join in on the conversation. Because the real question on the table, is this 2026 drop actually the revival they're calling it? I put every piece under the microscope in my latest video. Go see for yourself and decide. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.